Hey, what's going on? My name is Steve White. I'm the director and founder of Mission NextGen, and I'm so excited that you decided to stack hands with us today. We are all about making sure that you are trained, equipped, and encouraged as you help reach this next generation for Jesus, to make them the disciplers of their own generation that God has created them to be. So we really are grateful that you decided to chime in, whether it be watching, whether it be listening to a podcast on your favorite app or wherever you watch or listen. But just do us a quick favor. As we get started today, make sure you like, subscribe, and you share this podcast, because there's so many people out there that are looking to be on the front lines or are on the front lines of reaching this next generation for the sake of Jesus. And so we want to make sure that we can have more people stacking hands together to accomplish this great purpose. Now, today we're going into a special podcast today. All of them are special, but this one is especially special to me and in my heart because of our special guests. And that's a guest with an S at the end of it, because we have multiple guests here today. And each of these guests I've known for a very long time. Some would say I've known them their whole lives, because the special guests today are my kids, because they're not really kids anymore. And today's podcast, the focus of it is family and how we navigate family through ministry. Ministry is the most important thing that we are called to do, but it all has to start in the home, because how can we minister to other people's kids if we're not even taking care of our own kids and discipleship of our own kids? And so today we're going to dive into this podcast with our three special guests, Rachel Arnett, Abby White, and Ellis White. We got to make sure that we bring them on in. So let's welcome them to the podcast. Hey, what's going on? Y'all doing okay?
Hello.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah. I actually always talked about having y'all on a podcast, but I'm like, man, I just don't know if they can handle it. But I mean, Rachel's 23 and married and has a kid now, so like maybe she can handle it now. And Abby, well, she's about to graduate college. Yeah, right. Okay, about to graduate college, and she house sits, dog sits. She's got like so many side hustles. It's not even funny. She's doing it actually right now at a house. And then we got Ellis, who was our first year college student, going to be an engineer. First, I think when he thought it was an engineer, he's thinking like a choo-choo train, but it's much bigger than just an engineer had. But they're all like, you got 19, 21, and 23 in the house. My kids, man.
Yeah.
So glad y'all are here.
Yeah, I'm glad
Yeah,
to
I'm
be
glad
here.
to be here.
Glad to be
Yeah.
here.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here.
Y'all have to understand, as you're watching or listening, this is going to be the most raw, real, tell-all type podcast, and I'm kind of scared out of my mind right now. You can see Rachel's up in the baby room of her house. She just had her first child, but it's actually my grandchild, my grandbaby.
That's how that works.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
But y'all just be prepared as we dive into this thing. So PKs, like pastor kids, right? It's got a negative connotation to a lot of people in the world, but it was something that we wanted to embrace from the very beginning, not to make you more special than everybody else, but also not to give you less than everybody else, to make you feel like you're still one of God's kids as we take you through life. So let's kind of dive in from the very beginning. What was it like growing up in the home of a pastor and a pastor's wife, and in youth ministry, all those type of things? Like don't hold back. What was it like?
Well, it was kind of fun. I enjoyed it. We were always doing stuff. We were always out going to church. We were always at church. But yeah, I don't know.
And it felt very comfortable to be at church. I think being a pastor's kid or a youth pastor's kid was always so fun, because
we're
we always got
pastors.
to but I just meant like it's better because you're always around like the older generations above you, but like not adults. And so they like kind of take you in and take you under their wing, like the other youth kids. And like even in elementary school or younger, like we were always acting older and like wanting to be with the crew and everything. And so it was always so fun.
Yeah, it was like almost like our second home.
Yeah, that's what I was literally just about to say that. It's like our second home. Like we kind of like, even like the leaders that you have in youth, it's like kind of better than the leaders in like regular church, just in the way of like they're there for young people. Right, they're there for the kids. They're there for us, really. And like that's a second family more than like someone that's like just like serving on a Sunday might be there, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I'll tell you, you talk about having the other youth leaders around and the other people around. One of the things that your mom and I, Sarah, or my wife, for those that are listening, Sarah White, they call her Sarah sometimes too, if she's not paying attention or whatever. But it's, I mean, it's true, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to go
we
with the
always,
Miss White.
yeah, oh yeah, Miss
Yeah,
White, because they were
literally.
also taught by my wife, and so in so many different ways. So it's kind of fun like that. But I'll tell you, one of the things we prayed about is that the partnership of ministry that we long to be as pastors, youth pastors, and serving students, to be an extension of the parents and from their home. We also prayed that God would give us youth leaders that would be an extension of our home to pour into their lives, to be other voices. So did you have those other voices? I mean, because let's just be real. There were things that you felt like you couldn't talk to us about, or that you maybe, I'm not going to say couldn't be real with us, because I felt like we always kept it real in our home. But were there other people that kind of poured into you other than us in the youth ministry as youth pastor kids?
No, yeah, absolutely. I would say like sixth grade was like when I first kind of joined into like the youth ministry. Like obviously you're in children's ministry like before then when you're in elementary school, but like sixth grade it was like transition period. I remember Gerald Baxley was
Mm-hmm.
my leader, and he was so great for me, like kind of getting through that transition period. But even like later on, I mean, a lot of leaders just like help you kind of deal with the struggles, especially through like middle school and high school, a lot of transition periods.
Yeah,
That's good.
I would agree. Like I had one of my youth leaders in 8th grade, Rachel Mellick. She poured into my life in 8th and 9th grade, and then when our church transition stuff happened, she was still there, and it was like really cool because I was able to go to her about a lot of things that I was uncertain about. And then like even today, like I can still call her up and talk to her, and so it was really cool to have that outlet and to talk to and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I would say I had some youth leaders, but I would be very honest. I probably wasn't as open as I needed to be, and I probably didn't have a ton of them that necessarily poured into me, but learning from that is that like I'm able to become a better youth leader because I didn't necessarily have people pouring into me, so I knew I need to pour into them more like
Mm-hmm.
now. So, I mean, like I had people pouring into me, but it wasn't like nothing like what Abby and Ellis were saying that were
Yeah.
like super strong, because I was always the quiet one and didn't really like wasn't super out there. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fair.
I'd say like even more, I kind of had a little bit different towards the end of my like high school like span than y'all did, because like towards the end my like, last like year and a half of high school, my dad, you know, you weren't like the youth pastor of the church we were at. And at that point, I went to the youth pastor when I, you know, needed something, or if I needed like counseling, or if I needed advice. But like before then, I guess maybe you don't necessarily go to the youth pastor because it is your dad, and you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
I
No,
don't know.
that's good. Go ahead, Rachel.
I was like I kind of tended to like come to y'all a lot more. I feel like than other people. I don't know. I just tended to go to family a lot more than I did other people. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we
I was
created an
just different for me.
atmosphere that I think we
Yeah.
kind of created an atmosphere where y'all could feel like you could come to us for anything. But again, our prayer was that there were other people as well when to kind of help fill in the gaps. So what were you gonna say, Abby?
So yeah, I mean, I think I probably was the most one to go and seek outside of the family. I don't know, but I always was comfortable. I think growing up in the youth ministry and knowing that there's other people that have been like kind of that you know that they're there for you, even like transitioning out and not doing ministry hand in hand with my family. I like have learned that discipleship is important. And so, like, I've sought that out on my own and, like, finding people to mentor me or to that I'm able to go and seek if something is going wrong in my life. And so I think that helped. Like, youth ministry kind of helps build that in students' lives that they need someone to go and seek out and be discipled by and everything. So
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head though, Abby, because I think one of the things that, again, let me go ahead and preface this by saying this: anything good that came out of our family and from that perspective was 100% God. Okay, so today's not, hey, let's
Absolutely.
celebrate how good Steve and Sarah are as parents, because we did a lot of things wrong, and we'll get to those things in just a little bit. Okay, probably, I'm sure they'll tell you some more stuff, but the reality is one of the things I feel like God did give us the wisdom in is allowing ourselves to let go and allow God to use other people in their lives, because it gave them a picture of discipleship started in the home, but it could be continued through other people. And like Abby said, got her to a place where she's, after high school and after where she was at under our care, she started to seek out those discipleship things that didn't just have to come from us, right? Which I feel like is such an important part of why we have student ministry in church. Yes, there's no student ministry in the Bible, and then blah, blah, blah. I get all those arguments and those thoughts, but man, this is the church. The people of God, the church, are the ones who are navigating through life, and we help one another in those ways. And that's what student ministry is. It's a hand-in-hand tag team tool to help reach this next generation, especially the ones that are in our home. So that's a good thing. Now you mentioned, a couple of y'all have mentioned about ministry after. Like, how are y'all involved in ministry stuff now?
Well, funny enough, I'm in youth ministry. My husband's a youth pastor, middle school youth pastor, and so I help out with that a lot. I mean, I'm there all the time. So I kind of like, I was telling Skylar, my husband, today actually, I was like, well, it's funny. I've probably only missed like 3 Wednesday nights, like not going to church anywhere of my life. Like, I mean, we've been in youth ministry like literally all our life, except for like 3 Wednesdays or 4 or something like that.
We took vacations. Come on now.
Well, like, yes, we took
Yeah.
vacations,
Okay.
but like not being involved in like a church, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So like,
I got you.
I don't know. So I was like, well, I've always been in youth ministry, so it's kind of something cool that I've been able to continue doing.
Yeah. You even told us at one point when you felt a call to ministry, even before you got married, to a middle school pastor, that we were just like, okay, do we need to have her drug tested? Like, because she wants to go into ministry. She's seen the good, bad, and ugly of it, and she still wants to, it must be God's call for sure. No doubt.
Yeah.
So
For sure. Well, and it's kind of funny. Sorry, I keep talking, but it's kind of funny that
we're used to it. We
like,
grew up with you. Yeah.
well, it's kind of funny because I
Oldest
was
child
telling
syndrome or whatever.
yeah, for real. Just kidding. um, no, it's kind of funny because I felt like y'all have set us up, which obviously is the Lord, but like the Lord had like allowed certain things to happen in my path to get me like ready for this stage of my life. Like, I mean, I even remember like just growing up in youth ministry has prepared me for the ministry life. But then also like once I hit college, you put me in charge of all the like with middle school girls, not knowing that I was going to meet a middle school pastor and be over all the middle school girls, essentially. And so it's like prepared and trained me for what I'm doing today, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Abby, about you, because you referred to the doing ministry now. What about you?
So I am at Warren Grovetown, and I'm children's ministry assistant, which is actually really something that I never thought I would be doing. Ministry, I just didn't think, like, I knew teaching's a ministry, so I was like, I'm going into teaching, that's my ministry, that's where I'm going. And that is still where I'm going, but God did make he was like, actually, you're going to go this way first. Allow me to be a part of their children's ministry and help just grow it a little bit and just be able for me personally to grow through it and just work in a ministry setting for the past year and a half. And honestly, he's prepared me for that my whole life. Since I was in 6th grade, I've been serving in children's ministry, not just, and I never served really in youth ministry. But I served in children's ministry from 6th grade all the way till now. And every church that we ever went to, I always got plugged in somehow. Even when I was like, no, I'm just going to take a break, or I don't want to do it like right now, the Lord would always be like, actually go back. Actually go back. And it was so funny, but the Lord's like prepared me to be in this position to really pour into the kids, but also to pour into volunteers. And now I was even talking to somebody the other day, but being in the children's ministry has allowed me to look with different eyes and be able to see, what does a volunteer need in this capacity? How can we disciple them to disciple the kids, and how can we do these different things? And it's really grown me. The Lord has really grown me through this whole process. And so I think being in ministries, being a youth pastor's kid, has prepared me to go into ministry, because I have seen it's not perfect, and no church is perfect, because it's built of imperfect people, and you just have to work with those people, just like any other job. But it's fun to do the Lord's work as your job. But I know I'm going to go into teaching, and that'll be my ministry as well. So
yeah. That's awesome. That's cool. Ellis, like, ministry's taken on a different realm for you, because in some ways you're not serving at a church and in ministry. But one of the things that I've been super proud of you about, and I've told you this before, but I want to make sure, even just publicly, to be able to say this, is how you've taken on your own spiritual growth as a college student, as a freshman, even before your freshman year, and navigating where you're going to go to church, that you're going to church, you're taking your girlfriend to church, and y'all are going to church together. Like, how has your upbringing kind of geared you towards the importance of that?
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always like thought I'd be this one place my entire life, and then I would move to a different place, and then it's like I'll be there my entire life, and then I'm like, but then I figured out like it's not necessarily one place. It's like not one church. It's the whole church, you know? Like, yeah, we're at Talitha. Me and my girlfriend Hannah are at Talitha, and we're we're involved there. We're in a young adult like Sunday school group, and it's really fun. But ministry is kind of about where you take it. Taking it to school with me and taking it to church, but also like bringing it home and kind of like talking about what we learn, but then also applying it to our lives and showing that to other people that might see you twice a week and say, hey, what's going on? Like, hey, there's something different about you, kind of thing. Like, I've been invited by people that I barely talk to BCM because they already just assumed I was Christian. Right? It's like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That is cool, because I think what's interesting, and girls, you could probably testify to this too, but there's something about Ellis that, like, he's not in the pastoral type ministry, but everybody sees him as their counselor. Like, they want to talk. Like, hey, because he's a good listener and he gives great advice and stuff. And so I think you do a good job with that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've kind of like fit into that counselor role for a lot of people, just because like when I've started, I don't know if I've just matured faster, but I think it's part of just the fact that you've raised us in that way, that we've just kind of become a little bit more mature early on. But I feel like just with that maturity, a lot of people like kind of come to you and say, hey, you seem to be calm and less anxious. Let me give you my anxieties.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, I think your sisters have done that too a couple of times. I know that there's like, hey, I'm going to be in Ellis's room for a little while.
I go in his room all the time. I'll be upset about something and he gives me advice, and it's great.
And always happy to listen.
Yeah. No, but that's cool. And I think you talked about the maturity factor, but let's just make sure that we get the record straight that any maturity that y'all have came from your mom. And just, I think y'all know that, but I'm just saying, I still haven't grown up in so many different ways, but in that being said, there's been difficult times in our life. It hasn't been like all just like ice cream and dodgeball. Like, everything's fun and amazing, right? And
Ice cream and
it's like,
dodgeball?
I've never heard that.
yeah, because that's what youth
before.
ministry is, right? Ice cream and dodgeball, right?
Ice cream and dodgeball,
that's all youth
guess.
pastors do. We eat ice cream and play dodgeball, right?
Okay.
Sure.
So,
I've never heard
I don't know
that
about
one.
that.
I haven't heard that
it's
either.
okay. It's a new generation, okay? So that's why we're trying to reach y'all. But it hasn't been just easy, and it hasn't been amazing 24/7. Like, there's been problems, there's been issues. At home, in the church, how the church affects the home, all those different things. Talk about, because there's people that may be listening. We very well could be youth pastor kids. It could be it could be the youth pastors themselves that have gone through things, and they're just looking to kind of help through some struggles maybe that's going in their life. But what are some of the things that y'all have gone through? Because we have been very open about life and ministry and those things. We haven't really hidden things from y'all at all. We've gone through life together as a family. But what are some of those things that y'all have gone through that you feel like really it was terrible, tough times, but kind of helped mold and shape you in a certain way?
I'll go ahead and just jump in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think one thing that was like, I mean, maybe a little bit more of a struggle for me when it comes to it was, yeah, y'all were always like open to talk to, but it felt like sometimes y'all were a little bit, seemed a little busy, and I was never one to be, oh, I want to talk to them and like ruin their day or distract them from work kind of thing. So it was like I never wanted to feel like a burden. So sometimes that would be my big thing with not talking.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. Busyness can happen into where you don't remember the important things in life. And so we run into that in the home a lot as pastors. So for sure. That's fair. Thank you for sharing that.
I would think the fishbowl aspect. People put that in like being watched consistently. I mean, that was like always a thing. Like, I mean, everybody was watching and see if like you would mess up or something would happen or you didn't act a certain way or something like that. But like, honestly, I mean, kind of kept me online. Let's just be honest. And when I was out places, I wasn't the best at home, but but like, honestly, like, you get to the point where like, well, I don't care what other people think of me. Like, if they look at me and they think there's something wrong, then they can have that judgment. But it was always like the fishbowl aspect of like knowing you're being watched and knowing that people are watching you to see if you mess up or whatever. That was I guess a little bit of a struggle early on until I got like mid high school, and then I was like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't care. So whatever. So
Did it really affect you from being a real person, so to speak, at times?
I would say no. It just always was there in my mind. Like, I mean, like I always knew I was being watched, but I don't think it like affected like me being real. Maybe like the early years of like middle school, because I was like, well, I have to act this way. I have to act a certain way. But once, like I said, like once I hit high school, I was just myself. Like, I mean, like I'm fine. Nobody's like really gonna really care, and if they care, and I'm not doing anything wrong, oh well, you know.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's good. That's good. How
I
about you,
think
Abby?
mine's similar. I think mine's similar to what she was saying, but I think mine was that I felt like I had to always be on, and I always had to have the right answers. Not because everybody else was looking to me for answers, but because I thought, because of the title and constantly reminded, like, you're the youth pastor's kid. You got to know all the answers. Any Bible study that you're in, you have to know the right answer. Like, even if you can't struggle with anything. And it was like, especially in middle school, when I did a study that I'm actually going through with some early high schoolers now, I was looking back through my middle school book and I saw some of my answers and I was like, you weren't really feeling like that. You wrote that down just so that you crossed the box. And like, wait, you actually did feel like this. You wrote this down. I'm proud of you. Like, so I was like thinking of like myself because I was like, I would have never said that in front of somebody. Like, I would have, because I felt like I would be judged that I have problems. I'm not supposed to have problems. I'm supposed to be good. Like, I'm supposed to know everything because I've grown up here. And so I think that was a struggle And I had to learn that. I think I kind of grasped the idea that I can actually be a real person and I can struggle with things, like probably close to the end of high school or even in college. I think I struggle with like what people view me as a lot. And so I think I was able to be more real when it came to like me going to college or my senior year of high school. I was like, I can actually tell people that I'm struggling with something. Like, I don't have to have everything all together all the time. And so I think that was a big thing that I struggled with.
Yeah, that glass bowl is real for, I think, for all of us. You know, even for me and your mom, like we, you know, we don't show up at an event or or in, I don't know, a church event, like a family event, like get invited to a party for somebody's birthday or something, and when it's time to pray for the meal, let's ask the pastor in the room. You know, like, you know, we couldn't go to our small group times and say, we've had a really rough week. My boss is terrible, you know, or something, you know, and the boss is the pastor, right? I mean, you just can't do that.
Yeah.
And so I totally get you on that. And I think that's the part that I think we all understood about each other, is we're kind of in the same boat. And that's why family was so important to us, is that at the end of the day, that's what we have. We have the Lord and we have each other. And I think there was a time that culminated and that changed our hearts and our lives. I think, Abby, you referred to it a little while ago. You said you were very generous in how you said that time of transition that we had.
Well, that's the wording that was used.
Yes. Well, you're right. That's what the church used, that put us in the time of transition.
Yes. Yes.
But that, as tough as that was, I mean, it was rough. It was, and that's not even probably the proper word to use, but this is a family podcast. But we had a moment in our life where, you know, I get called into the office, and won't go into all the details, but ultimately was told that I don't work there anymore, that I can't go there anymore. And it affected our whole family. You know, where some people say, oh, it's their job, you can go find another job. When you're in youth ministry, when you're in ministry in general, when you're on church staff, if you lose your job, you lose your church, you lose your friends, you lose all those different things. And it's not just me. It affected our whole family. How did that time affect y'all? How did it, even negatively, and then on the positive side, because we've seen God use it in a positive way as well. So talk about those things for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
go ahead, Ellis. No, you go for it.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like, you know, kind of talked about earlier, it's just like church is like a family, and it almost felt like your family abandoned you, and it kind of stank because, like, oh, this is a person that I consider my brother or my like second dad or whatever. And it's like, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. I'm also my throat is dry, so I probably need some water later. But but like, it's a lot of just, you felt like they betrayed you, but then it also, in the better side of it, it made you hold on tight to the ones that are there, you know? Like, I feel like me and y'all just got closer through that.
Yeah, we did.
For sure.
Yeah, I remember at night after it happened, and it was basically me and Sarah, or me and your mom, like, referred to as a night of carnage. I mean, it was rough to tell y'all that I wasn't at that job anymore, and that we weren't gonna be able to go to church there. And when I said those words, it was like, wait, what? We can't go to church there? Like, Rachel, I know you were at the, you know, the year before your junior year. I mean, at that point, right
going
about
into my senior year. Yeah.
Going into your senior year. That's right. Going into your senior year. How did that affect you in that moment?
Well, I lost all of my friends. I mean, like, I literally had, well, good thing was, like, I was starting to build a lot of friendships at school. So I was, like, able to, like, lean on a lot of those at school. But all of my friends went to church with me. I invited all of my friends to church. So, like, I lost a lot of friendships. And so, like, more or less, I mean, like, I just had my family, which was fine, which made us all become a lot closer, like Ellis said. But yeah, I mean, like, right before going into my senior year, losing all my friendships that I've had for probably 10 years at that point, like, because I would grow up with people. Um, it, like, it really stunk. That was, like, probably one of the worst things, was because I lost, like, friends, I lost relationships with youth leaders, certain youth leaders. My youth leaders at that point didn't contact me or reach out to me at that point, so it was just, it kinda stung because those were the people I looked up to. And then, like, also, what was I saying? Friends, youth leaders, and then also just,
Ministry
it was
too.
right before. Yeah, it was just, like, all my ministry with, like, children's ministry at that point, because I was very involved with children's ministry, and I just thought that was, like, probably the worst part, because it was, like, family being stripped away from us, without us being able to say, like, why we had to go somewhere, or why we left, or why all these things were happening, or getting to say goodbye. Like, we didn't have those opportunities, so that was just really hard. But there were positive aspects of, like, hey, I mean, like, the Lord did bring us closer as a family. My relationship with the Lord grew a lot more through that season than anything else. And that's, like, a huge milestone in my testimony, because, like, the Lord really grew me in that time. And, like, I've, like, have a completely different relationship than I had before, my senior year, like, before all that happened. So it was a huge milestone in my testimony, which I can look back on and be like, the Lord was so good in this time, but it also, like, stunk, because you're like, oh man, I just lost everything. So
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Abby?
I think for me, it was really hard because I was going into my 10th grade year. I was still in the beginning of high school. Again, all my friends I had a good bit of friends at my school, but I also had majority of my friends at church, and we had just gotten super close, over the camps that we had gone on. In our small group, I think we had, like, 15 girls in, and we had a lot of people, and so it was just like, once that happened, I was like, "I can never really, like, we're not friends." Well, I still try to reach out, and then I realized quick who my friends really were, and it was,
Mhm.
like, what bonded us, the church, or, like, were we actually friends? And it was really the church, and so I realized I actually didn't have very many friends, and I thought I did, and so I think that was a low of just my life in general. I would love to say I turned to the Lord a lot more, but I didn't. I, like, found the wrong friends at school and all the things, and I just, um it wasn't a really fun time. It wasn't, but when we tried to find a new church and we found one, me and Rachel grew really close together. Like, we became,
Mhm.
like, best friends. I mean, like, Ellis did too, but he was also
Period.
still in middle school, but
I
we
was just
had a
there.
no, but we were both girls in high school, and so we were put into the same small group when we went to our new church, and we really didn't have anybody else our age. They were closer to my age than her age, and so we grew closer together and became more like best friends than sisters, but it was stronger because we were sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Period.
I think that's what helped me see that, like, I I don't know, that I needed to look more towards the Lord during that time because she was. And so it was a good bonding experience, to say the least. And the Lord has really used that for me, just to see where He has brought me now. Because, like, there's been so much that's happened in the past 6, 7 years. 'Cause that's literally how long it's been.
That's actually how long
And
it's been.
I know that's
It
what it's
is.
been. I was
Yeah.
trying to say it without making a middle school joke, but, middle school teacher.
But here we are.
And so here we are. But no, it's like a lot's happened in those years, and none of that would have happened if we were in the same church setting. And so I think the Lord's been really good through that time and has grown me a lot and challenged me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that you hit the nail on the head. How sovereign God is, how He uses these things for our good. Like, and
Mhm.
and and it's even the tough stuff, even the stuff that really does suck at times that we go through, that God can turn it for our good. Because I mean, I sit back and I look at these things and I remember the prayers that your mom and I pray, that God, through this time, please don't let them hate the church. Please don't let them hate you. Please don't, God, let them make it through this, because there's so many guys that I work with now that can't testify that their kids are still walking with the Lord after the hurt that they received from church. And because it happens all the time, all different places, same devil, different location is what we talk about. But our prayer constantly was, God, don't let them hate you. Don't let them hate the church. Help them. And there was a moment for me that culminated in this process. Like we're a big music family. For y'all that don't know us, we love music, and we have playlists for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like we go on a vacation, go to the beach, we got a beach playlist for every year that we've gone to the beach. In the mountains, we got a mountain playlist for it. And we all get the chance to add music to that playlist. Well, when this happened, when everything went down, like I created a playlist called We Need This. And I was like, hey, y'all, if you come across a worship song that ministers to your heart, drop it in this playlist. And we're just going to keep listening to this playlist. And there was one night we were on our way home from something. I don't even remember where we were coming home from. And we were playing that playlist. And one of the kids had put on the playlist, Raise a Hallelujah. And gosh, y'all, it's just like, yes, I mean, it's like I could still sense that moment. We're driving around we're driving to the house, and we're about to pull up to the house, and I look in my rearview mirror, and all of y'all are just worshiping God and singing at the top of your lungs. And I rolled down the windows, and we took another lap around the neighborhood.
Yep.
Because we needed to proclaim not to the neighborhood, but to ourselves, but loud enough to where, oh gosh, y'all stop. I don't even know if we're going to be able to put this podcast out, man. Like, but we're being real, right? And that's what we talk about.
Hey,
is being real.
Very real.
But we took another lap until the song, we played that song over and over and over. And it was just, I'm going to sing in the middle of a storm, and that's what we were doing. And it was like God reminded me right then and there that he's faithful and that he's got y'all, and he loves you more than I love you. And that's hard to believe. And so it's a really, really cool moment, really cool reminder that God is faithful. Because if we didn't go through that, again, God's sovereign, he would have figured it all out. But we've met people, we've have new friends that God has been faithful with. I mean, Rachel found her husband on the other side of this, the friendships between Abby and Rachel that were built forever, the bond that was there, that is there. And and all those things that are happening, like God's faithful on the other side of it, all the way through the storm, and he takes us to the other side of it. And so that's the tough stuff. And again, we may go through more tough things. We've gone through loss of loved ones together, since then. We've gone through life change of different things in people's lives, but God has shown himself faithful in our family. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful for y'all. I really am. But I want to kind of, as we kind of close this time together, what is something that you feel like if someone's listening to this, whether they be a parent that's in ministry, or whether it be they said, hey kids, I need you to listen to this podcast. Like, is there something that you feel like you need to say in regard to growing up in the home of a youth pastor or somebody who is going to reach this next generation? What would you say?
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Why is that?
Just kind of like the same thing I was kind of saying earlier, just like reiteration of it, but just like they might seem busy. They might seem like you might think, oh, they're going to judge me in some way, or it's going to look bad, or it's going to look bad on the church, or look bad on the youth ministry or whatever. don't be afraid of that, but be assurant in like the love that that God has for you, but also your parents have for you,
Yeah, that's cool. That's good. That's a good word, Ellis. Thank you for that.
I would say like.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Sorry.
You're good.
I would say like just to lean on the Lord through everything. I mean, like even in the bad times, He's putting it there for a reason, and that it's going to turn out good in the end. And so just more of like leaning on the Lord through everything. The good times, the bad times, just whatever you're going through. Because it makes a difference. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the Lord is going to be the only one there for you. Not saying you can't trust other people, not saying you can't love other people, right? But the Lord is going to be the one that sticks with you at the end of the day. So lean on Him more than everybody else.
Yeah, for sure.
I think what I would probably say is that, yes, the Lord's always there, but it is hard to rely on Him all the time because if you're not confident in that. But it's okay not to have everything together. I think for sure to like remember you're human too, and you have your flesh, and that's gonna tell you to do things that you're not supposed to do, and it's hard to fight that on your own. So seek the Lord, but also say, hey, I can't do this right now. I need help. Like Ellis was saying as well. And like it's okay not to be fine. And I think asking or even voicing that you're not okay is better than just internalizing it and saying, I know I'm supposed to be okay, so I have to be okay. But voicing it to somebody can help a lot more. So, and we don't always have to have it all together. It's just,
Yeah.
it's okay to be real.
Absolutely. I mean, like even kind of going along with that, like kind of find your other people like to like talk to,
For sure.
Find those leaders in your life, find those people that God put in your life, because God does put them in your life. Like you might think, oh, I just lost, like they moved, or I moved to a different church, or they moved to a different school or whatever, and you might think, oh, I'm not gonna be able to talk to that person anymore. Like the person I always went to is gone, and you might think that like now who do I talk to? But then God usually just puts another person in your life,
Yeah. Yeah. God's a good God, man. That's awesome.
For sure.
I think we've all experienced that. And again, it hasn't been a perfect road, but I wouldn't want to go down this road with any other people. I'm so glad God entrusted us to be with you and to raise you. We're on the cusp of celebrating a lot of holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas and all those things, some of our favorite times of year to celebrate. And ultimately we celebrate because of God and the goodness of who He is and how we're grateful for Him. And then in the midst of that gratefulness, we're so thankful for our family. We're thankful for each of you and what God has allowed us to be able to pour inside of you. So keep loving Jesus, as I like to put in your cards and anytime I write you notes and stuff, but love Jesus more and more than anything. And I think if you're listening right now, if you have kids, that's a message that it should never go away, just to challenge them to love Jesus more. And then as you love Jesus and show and pattern in your life, even in your failures, even in your struggles, to show them how to love Jesus, that's a great ministry in itself. And so Rachel, Abby, Ellis, thank y'all. I love y'all. I really do.
I love you, Dad.
You're welcome.
Yeah. This is
going to
be
it was
cool.
fun.
Yeah, this is fun. We need to do it. Honestly, we need to do it with Mom on here. She's teaching right now. It's about the only time we can have it where we can all be on, but we need to do this again at some point for sure with her. It would be fun.
Hilarious.
That would be fun.
Yeah. So anyway, so listen, if you're listening to this podcast and you know somebody that would benefit from or be encouraged by this podcast, even as I'm doing this podcast, I'm encouraged just what the Lord is doing and what the Lord has done. Make sure you pass it on. Make sure you share it, like and subscribe. That helps us get the word out, helps us be able to stack hands with more people and reaching this next generation. I'm telling you, if nothing else, we've got 3 strong leaders in this next generation reaching their generation. And I'm so proud of each and every one of them for sure, and what God has in store for them. So thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for stacking hands. Rachel, Abby, Ellis, thank you for stacking hands with us today. And we'll see you all on our next podcast. Peace out.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.